Welcome back. This is sheet 2 of 3 to finish modeling the tuna. I don't know if you can see it, but we have a little eye for our little tuna fish right here. So this is print 2 of 3. We're going to attempt to do this kind of hook part, the bottle opener part. It's going to be a little more complex. We just finished sheet 1, so here we are at sheet 2. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this puppy. And I'm going to find wherever you saved the first part 1 of 3, find it, open it up. So here's my tuna 1. And then we do the drop down arrow, and we do the drop down arrow again so we can get to my sketch. I'm going to right click on the sketch and say edit sketch. So this is exactly where we left off on. And let's look at my drawing to see my game plan, because this is looking a little complicated. So right here I can see I have 2 circles with a diameter of 0.260. So that's one, and that's the center point. That's the other one, and that's the center point. And then I have, for those circles, they both have the same distance from this center point of the circle of 2.688. So that's what I'm going to do first, because it seems the least confusing. So 2 circles with a diameter of 0.260, and they're going to be 0.2688 inches away. And then after I do that, I can see over here how far down from this edge, how far down they go. Then I'll dimension those. So let's start easy first. I'm going to hit C for circle. I'll put them way out here. I'll say 0.26, enter. And then I'm going to hit C for circle, and then I'll show you a trick. So I'm just going to do, let's say, this random size. And I'm going to hit D for dimension, and I'll click on here. I'm going to left mouse click 1 time, and you see how it's highlighted. While that's highlighted, if I want it to be the same diameter, I just left mouse click again, only 1 time, and you see it said D16. So when I hit enter, it is now this same diameter. It's driven off of this. So if I had a bunch of circles, I was doing hole patterns, and say I thought it was a 125 drill. So I made them all 125, but I made them all driven off of 1, and then I realized, oh shoot, I've only got a 160 drill. I could go change that 1, and it would update all the circles. Anyways, back to what we're doing. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to look at my print, and I'm going to dimension these things 2.688 inches away from this center of the circle. So I'm going to say D, click on that center point, and I'll say click on this center point, 2.688, enter. And so I don't have a bunch of dimensions running all over the place. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to hit escape. I'm just going to drag this puppy kind of in line with it. Then I'm going to click off of it, so that way I have my tools up here. I'm going to my vertical constraints, horizontals. I'm going to go click, and I'm going to go click. So now I'm going to hit escape to get the constraint tool off my cursor. So now if I drag this anywhere, they're going to be vertically constrained. So that's looking good. So I'm just going to start dragging these where I think they should be. And I'm going to look at my print again. And I'm sorry, this one's going to be a little more smudged together. So sorry, I'm the designer of this. I'm the print drawer of this. I'm not getting paid to do this, so it is a little squishy. I agree. But what I can see is the center line of this circle from this edge is 0.191. And then from this center point to this center point of the other circle is 0.029. So let's do that. I'm going to hit D for dimension. So from this edge to this, and see, if I click on this circle, it will be to the center point, even out here. So that was 0.191, enter. So sweet, we're fully defined. That thing's fixed in space. Now this one, we're constrained here, but let's do a dimension, how far away it is. And I think that was 0.029, enter. And let me double check my print. It was. So we just put these little circles in here. We're looking awesome. Now, since this is a little confusing, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to draw this line right here, this 531 line, and it looks like it's going to tie into the bottom of this circle. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to hit L for line, And I'm obviously not on the bottom of it, but I'm gonna click on there and I'm just gonna drag over, don't care about the dimension, and I'm going to hit escape. So you see it's blue, it's constrained so I can't make it go vertical, but it's blue where I can drag this thing around, but it's horizontally constrained, so that's nice. But I don't know where it's fixed to here. I want to use this. It's tangent. I can tell from it's tangent on the drawing. So I'm going to use this tangent tool, and I'm just going to go click on the circle, on the bottom circle, and then click. Now I'm tangent off the bottom. And the length of this, so looking at it, the length of this flat section right here that's horizontal is 0.531. So let's come back over here. I'm going to hit D for dimension. I'm just going to click that line, drop down, and say 0.531. Enter. Now I got my length. That's cool. So we're making progress. I know it looks funny. It's going to look more funny. I'm going to do this angle right here. And it doesn't tell me a length, but I know it's going to go all the way through the end of the part. So it's at 53 degrees from the center line. So let's do that. So I'm going to hit L for line. I'm going to select the end of our 531 line. I'm going to just drag it up. And then I don't want to enter in the length of the line, but I want to enter in the degrees. So I'm going to do tab. And I said 53 degrees. And it's doing that thing where it thinks zero's over here and it's going up, but I can just drag it over. And it's still 53 degrees, and I'm making sure it's past the edge of my part. It is, so I'm going to hit enter. And to make it a little less messy, I'm going to go ahead and trim this into this line. So I'm going to either hit T for trim or come up here. So let's just trim you. And then I know this is the edge of my part, so I'm going to trim you. There we go. So that's just the dimension line. You can't get rid of that unless you delete the dimension. So that is my drawn line at 53 degrees. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. Now let's get to this nasty part. So we got a lot going on in a little amount of space. This is also why it's broken up in 3 drawings. So we have a little circle right there with a diameter of 40 thou. And I know that one is dimensioned from the center point of this circle at 2.657. So let's do that. Let's draw a 40 thou circle and then dimension it from this center point. So 40 thou. So let's come over here. So I'm going to hit C for circle. And it's going to be the general area of over here. So I'm just going to go, I drug it out with a mouse. It's still blue. I didn't hit enter yet. 0.040. Now I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to dimension it from this center point to this center point, which was 2.657. So dimensioned from here to here, 2.657. Sorry, when I get quiet, I cannot multitask, so I got to remember these weird numbers that I used. Okay, 2.657, enter. So that's good. Now I need to figure out where it is up and down, because it's still, I could drag it up and down because it's not constrained because it's blue. Let's come back over here. And I have a dimension from this center mark is 20 thou from this edge. So let's come back here, click, click. I'm just going to drag it off so I can see a little bit. 0.020. Enter. Okay, we're looking good. So I'm really just going to draw some lines because I want a flat here and I want a line connecting from here to here, and we want it to be tangent to these arcs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit L for line, and I'm just going to click. And I'm obviously not tangent right now. I'm going to go click and click, and then I want to just go like click and click. So let's go to our tangent tool. So I'm going to click on tangent tool. I'm going to go from this line to this circle. Ooh, that did not go the way I wanted to. Let me just try something. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to try to drag. Now let me go. I'm going to do Control Z. Control Z. So I kind of drew it a little too bad. So let me just drag it over here before I do the tangent tool a little bit. So I'm going to go tangent. I'm going to go from this circle to this line. Okay, we're looking good. And then I'm going to go from this line to this big diameter circle. All right, so it's fully constrained. I'm loving it. Now let's do the same over here. Hopefully I didn't mess it up with how far off I drew it. So let's go from this circle to this vertical. good, I think. And let's go from this circle to this weird slanted line. There we go. So now we're constrained right here. And we got a flat line. So that way when we cut it, it won't have like a weird hump in it. If you missed it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. All right, we have this weird sketch going on. Let's see if I missed anything else on here. We are not. I don't think we are. So if we reference back to our first drawing, I saw that the part is 300 thou thick. 300 thou thick. That's a tongue twister. And so right now, let's add some thickness to it. I probably should have had the thickness of the part on this drawing also. I didn't, but I have it in sheet 1 of 3. So let's come back over here. I'm going to say finish sketch. And you see our sketching tools went away. We're in the 3D modeling area. When I'm in sketch mode, I could hit E for extrude, then it pops me back over here, and we can add our like our three-dimensional dimension to the part and give it some thickness. But since I'm in here, I could either come up here and left mouse click, or I can still hit E for extrude. And so I want this to extrude, I want this to extrude, and I want the center of that circle to extrude, and I want this little, no I don't, that's exactly what I want right here. I don't want that little weird cusp to extrude. So that's looking good, loving it. Now our extrude tools. So I know my distance is 300 thou, so I'm going to say 0.3. And I'm going to make my origin active. So whenever I model, I like to have the origin in the center of everything, so I have to mirror a feature or a sketch. It just makes my life so much easier. So to do that for direction, I come over here and do symmetric. So hold on, we're not done. I see a lot of mistakes here. So it has that 300 thou value in here, but it defaults to half length, so that total length is 600 thou. So I need to make sure that I come to whole length. So now we're looking good. And it's a new body, everything else looks good, and I'm going to say OK. And just to double check that this is not 600 thou thick, I can go inspect or measure, and I'll click on this face, and then I'll roll it on over, and I'll click on this face, and the distance is 0.3, so I can buy that. I'm going to say close. And we're not done yet because I have a little radius here and a radius here. If we look at my print, it says that bottom radius is 130 thou, and it says this radius is 30 thou. So let's do that. I'm going to come up here and get my fillet tool. I'm just going to left mouse click, and I'm going to click on that line right there. And you know what? For example purposes, I'm going to say get rid of that edge. I'm going to show you this. You can even grab lines through the part. Pretty cool. So I could go click, and you see, boom. Anyways, so I know that is going to be 130 thou, the radius, 0.13. Enter. So that's looking good. And we know that edge is 30 thou. So I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to left mouse click, and I'm going to say 0.03, and then enter. And so something to note when machining is you want to make these radiuses bigger than the radius of the tool you're cutting with. This isn't much bigger because we're going to cut this out with a 250 wide end mill, and so half a 250 is 125. So this is slightly bigger, not much, but you want to try to make these radiuses bigger than the radius of the tool you're using so it doesn't have as much load on the end mill, so much engagement. And then let's look at our print. Not to get too off topic, let's look at our print. It's looking good. I think we did everything on sheet 2 of 3. So when we're done here, you just want to go save and make sure you're saving it in your same file location. So I'm going to say OK. And now you look over here. So this is our component that we made. And each component has its bodies and sketches and origin. So if I want to go back, and you see we added a thickness to it, but if I wanted to go back and make some slight changes, I can make those changes back here in the sketch, and that extrusion could apply to it. Depends how big your changes are. But I can go back, change it easy. And then let me go, let's just say finish sketch. Anything else? And then if I want to just hide these sketches so I don't see them, I just use this little eye to hide it. because later our next on sheet 3 of 3 on this one, we're really going to make this pocket here, and we're going to make these chamfers. And for this pocket, we're going to begin the sketching on this surface. So this is where we're leaving it off. This is concludes sheet 2 of 3 of the tuna bottle opener. See you in sheet 3 of 3. Thanks.